All right. This is Printed and Pressed. I'm Chris.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're going to be covering a book that I think Will is sad not to cover with us, but,
It's his loss.
pour one out for Will. It's not open, I promise. I didn't just pour this all over my crotch, but
No one would have seen it, Chris.
they would have, and I would have probably screamed my head off if that would have actually poured out all over me because I'd have been mad. But anyways, pour one out for Will. Ooh, this is not good.
Oh, my goodness. Amateur hour.
And we're going to be discussing the first book in the Lord of the Rings. Actually, the first two books, technically.
Yeah.
Because this is like a 6-book series that he split into a trilogy that he really wanted to be all in one big book. But
I've seen that giant book, as some people sell it that way, and I have to say it's too much.
You haven't seen the itty bitty one, have you?
No.
I think that's the worst way to read it, as an itty bitty copy of the whole thing.
I've seen the small copies of the individual ones are terrible enough.
Right. But anyways, so this is a funny story. I've read The Fellowship a long time ago. I've read The Silmarillion. We read The Hobbit on the podcast. I've at least read that one once. Mm-hmm. And I read the first half of Two Towers and then stopped reading. So I've never actually read the second half of the Two Towers, or at least never finished it. And I've never read Return of the King. So this will be my first time actually finishing the trilogy. So
that's a bit sad, Chris. So I've read The Hobbit now because we started with The Hobbit back last year. I've read The Hobbit now maybe 4 times, I think. I've read The Fellowship at least twice. Actually, no, I read The Fellowship 3 times because the first time I couldn't make it through that second part of Two Towers. It killed me, but then I had to reread everything. So it'll be my second time with the Two Towers and then Return of the King.
Yeah. So, why did we pick this book?
Because it's a classic.
It's one of the biggest classic series in all of literature, especially English literature.
I mean, it's genre defining, Chris.
Right. So, like, how could we skip something like this? You know, like, there's really nothing that you could pick that would.
Plus, we enjoyed the story.
And it gave me a good excuse to rewatch the extended editions of the films, which I did do recently. Actually, funny story about that. My wife and I, we watched the free version on Amazon and then realized it wasn't the extended edition. So we broke out the Blu-rays and she's like, we're watching that again, the extended version. Like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I actually decided to repurchase the extended edition in Blu-ray because my original copies got damaged.
Did they really? How'd that happen?
Yeah, they popped out of their holders and got scratched up.
Ooh, Blu-rays are hard to scratch, so that must have been a serious tussle with them.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, actually, they might not have been Blu-ray at the time. I think they were regular DVDs.
Oh, the DVDs probably got scratched up.
Yeah, so I repurchased them as Blu-rays.
Did you get that $500 bookshelf set that I saw?
No.
Because that was ridiculous. Amazon knows that I like these expensive collector's editions of things.
Amazon targets you.
And so they spam me with every collector's edition of anything I could ever want. And I'm always like, yeah, I like that, but that's $500 and I ain't spending $500 on Blu-rays.
Yeah, no. It was far cheaper than that. So
yeah, the set we got was years ago and it was probably the early 2015 is probably when we got it. And I got the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And
yeah, but the one thing I'm sad about though is that the old set had the most beautiful.
They had it was a red, a green, and a blue. Yeah, they were really pretty. The Blu-ray set's all one color. It's got 3 little jewel.
Yeah, no, the old DVD set was beauty.
Then you should have kept the holders and
just
replaced the discs.
I still have it, but those holders
the Blu-rays
suck.
In there.
Yeah, but the holder sucks.
Oh, okay.
They pop out and they jostle.
All right, so let's summarize this book, but not over summarize it.
All right, let me give this a shot.
Yeah, sure. I would love it if you shared oh, you're gonna make me do it.
No, okay. So in the beginning, there was Tom Bombadil. He invented hobbits. Just kidding. All right, so
hey, I tried posting that meme I sent you guys in Lord of the Rings, and the original post got upvoted, but when I explained the meme, that got downvoted. So when I posted the whole he was the god of the hobbits and whatever, And then somebody's like, what does this mean? And I was like, oh, my friends and I joke around that Tom Bombadil's the god of the hobbits. So meanwhile, the post has like plus 70, and my comment explaining it has like negative 25 on Reddit. I'm like, what the heck?
Because everyone secretly wants it to be true,
but they won't admit it, so
they
they have to
don't.
downvote
Yeah,
me.
they don't admit it. No, so we start off with Bilbo and Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
Bilbo's birthday is coming up, and he's finally going to leave.
Oh my goodness!
Exactly how the movie goes, basically. So he's throwing a giant party for his birthday, and he's going to do a whole trick on everybody where he disappears with the ring, gets rid of all of his stuff, gives it to Frodo, including the ring, and then he's going to go on a...
Although he is a little reluctant to drop the ring.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows this. He's reluctant to leave the ring until Gandalf forces it upon him, in a sense.
Which makes him like the only person.
It makes him feel so guilty he has to leave it.
Bilbo's like the only person who willingly gave up the ring and also received it without like stealing it. So he is a very unique character to the ring.
But even then, his willingly giving it up is very peer pressured,
coerced a bit.
Yeah,
but he so freely did it. Nobody took it from him.
Right, it wasn't physically taken.
Yeah.
So that happens. Gandalf thinks about that ring a bit, gets suspicious, and goes on a massive research mission for it.
20 years.
20 years.
Long time.
Far longer than the movie would depict it.
He doesn't run off there and come back frantically like, did you keep it safe? Is it hidden?
Yeah.
Where is it?
So then he comes back casually once, just figures out that ring in a sense, and makes Frodo make plans to leave the Shire at some point in the future when he needs to.
They spent a lot longer in the Shire than you would think.
They dilly-daddle for a long time.
And Farmer Maggot isn't trying to beat up Merry and Pippin either. He was nice to them.
I know. That's where I was about to get to that
characterization is terrible. I'm like, dude, he was so nice.
I know.
Free food. Like
the whole time here, Frodo's planning to leave. Sam's been assigned to him because he overheard things.
Yep.
The entire time, though, Sam
that'll teach him to eavesdrop.
Yeah, but then he's still secretly telling Merry and Pippin and Freddy. Poor Freddy doesn't get a scene in the movie. But so the entire
nor does he go on the journey in the book either. So
no, but he still fulfills a role.
Yeah, a role.
He's the diversion to claim that Frodo's still in the Shire.
He rolled that D20. He got a 1, so he had to stay.
Yep. So you have this time where Frodo then tries to make it where he can leave without being seen. So he actually sells his home to the Saxville Bagginses. And he then moves to Brandybrook.
Isn't it Brandybuck?
I don't remember.
One of those two.
However you pronounce it. I'm sick right now, Chris.
And they actually do journey quite a bit within the outer bounds of the Hobbit area.
Oh yeah, they go for a long time. And
the book goes a lot longer than I would have thought. Here, let me find the chapters so we can get to the chapters.
Yeah, so I mean they leave secretly, right? Because the Black Riders have shown up to look for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
by the time you find out that Sam and Merry and Pippin are, I mean, you're already 130 pages in by the time you get there. So like, there's a lot. I mean,
the conspiracy unmasked is basically the end of them staying in the Shire. So
right,
but they go through the back roads, through the forest to try to get there. That's where you find out that Farmer Maggot's a nice dude.
Yeah, really nice guy.
He covers for him and everything. And they make it safely to the other part of the Shire, where they then plan to immediately leave after they have their baths and everything.
Right.
And then they go through the forest instead of the road. They cut the old forest route out of the movie altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Where they almost get killed by some willow trees.
Oh, yeah, but then Tom Bombadil sings.
Until Tom Bombadil comes along singing his songs.
Yep.
Tom Bombadil just casually puts the ring on his finger, doesn't disappear or anything.
Doesn't even care.
No. Sends them on their way, saves them from a burrow right.
Yep.
And then they end up making it to Bree.
Do they meet Goldberry yet?
Well, yeah, Goldberry's with Bombadil, so they,
Yep.
which is basically his girlfriend.
Don't they stop one other place before Bree?
The Burrow rights.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You already did that. So yeah, you're right. Sorry.
They just get attacked by whatever the hell one of those things is, like an undead thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to describe it. They're in Bree. It's basically discovered that he is Frodo.
Yep. Even though he's supposed to be Underhill.
But yeah, Strider's there trying to meet up with them from the very beginning. Goes the long way instead of telling them that Gandalf sent them.
Right.
Eventually wins him over. They this is where they pick up the starving pony Bill, that is Sam's best buddy.
Right. He really is the best buddy.
Yeah. That's when they start running away as quickly as possible.
Right.
They saw Gandalf off in the distance fighting with the Black Riders.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they get there, they just get ambushed by the Black Riders. Frodo gets stabbed because he thinks he's smart.
He is smart. No, I'm just kidding.
I just want to point out, too, though, that there's a huge deviation at this point.
Between the movie and the book?
Yeah, because Strider tells them to put the fire on.
Oh, yeah, and then in the movie, he's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
That's true.
They were there ready for the attack. They weren't trying to hide anymore.
That is a fact.
Yeah. And then you have, instead of, the girlfriend showing up, Arwen, you have an elf prince show up to help whisk Frodo away the rest of the journey.
Is Haldir?
Yeah.
Or is it a different one?
I thought it started with a G.
Oh no, you're right. Because in the movie they have the girl pick him up, and in the book it's just a male elf of some sort.
I mean, he's like an elven prince though, so
yeah,
high power. And then, we forgot that they also bumped into elves while they were walking through the forest on their way to the other part of the Shire.
Yeah. Yep.
So the elves are already aware of their dealings.
Yes, so they know what's going on.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why the elf prince is out there looking for him, because
he knows that they're
hears,
coming.
that's how all of them hear. And then they make it to, the river scene still happens.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly as in the movie, basically. You then get to the part where they revive Frodo at Rivendell.
Mm-hmm.
They have the whole meet and greet there where no one was actually summoned for this council meeting the way it's depicted in the movie.
Right.
Everyone just is kind of there on their own business. The dwarves are there to get advice about Moria.
Yep.
Legolas is there to say that Gollum escaped.
Gollum or
Boromir's there, huh?
Did you say Golem or Gollum?
Okay. My voice, bro. My voice.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I heard you.
Our poor audience is having to hear sick me do this narration, but and then Boromir is there because of a dream that his brother has about Gondor falling.
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing anybody else?
Have we talked about Galadriel yet?
No, because she wasn't there.
Not Galadriel. No, she's at the end. She's in Lothlorien, right?
Yeah, but we're at the selecting of the 9.
Oh, you're right. So the only other person there would have been Rhonda.
Just the other
Elrond.
Yeah, I mean Elrond's whole
his
household.
daughter's there, right?
Yeah. So they then pick their 9 people who are all technically not going on this journey to the end. They're they all have their own destinations in mind, but they're traveling together in the beginning and will split off along the way. Pretty much only Gandalf is signed up to go all the way to Mordor, I think.
Gandalf, yeah. I think
and the hobbits.
And the hobbits.
But Gimli and Legolas are both signed up to just go home.
Right.
So is Boromir and Strider, Aragorn, is signed up to also go to the Gondor. Because,
Yep.
he actually already has the sword that was broken and is now mended at this exact moment.
What the heck? Yeah,
What?
you're right. It does get mended, isn't it? Elrond that mends it for him.
Yeah, they mend it right in this part of the book. Yeah, because
Somehow
he plans. What?
my what the heck comment was because somehow the Hobbit was put into our space trilogy playlist for C.S. Lewis. And I'm like, what the heck?
Oh.
Why is this in
Yeah.
here?
So completely
Sorry.
counter to a narrative in the movie. He
Yes.
has the sword that was broken already at this point in time, and he plans to go to Gondor. So he's not planning to go to the ends of the earth with Frodo at this point in time.
No, he's not. That's true.
And then so they make for the mountain pass, right? As they leave. But the mountain pass is basically fighting them the entire time with snow, exactly how it's depicted.
Right.
Except there's no voice in the wind. It's not Saruman, right?
Right.
Gandalf is actually the one who wants to do Moria, not Gimli. That's
well, doesn't so Aragorn and Gandalf are fighting about that the whole time.
Yeah, because Aragorn knows better than to want to go through Moria.
He knows it's a bad idea.
Yeah, Gandalf is like, hey, it's a decent option. I've been there before.
Meanwhile, doesn't realize what's going on in there.
So they go to Moria.
Mm-hmm.
They get attacked by wolves on the way.
Yep.
And they make it into Moria. Not that it doesn't take them that long, really, to get in.
Well, the other thing is in the book, they don't, when Pippin drops that skeleton down the well, is not when they encounter all the other stuff. I mean, I think that's when the Balrog is like, you start to hear noises from the Balrog, but
I think it does awaken them. It's just not the moment that they get.
They don't show up in the room and start fighting them right then and there. That's what I mean.
I think it probably triggered scouts. More.
There was drums going off, so like that they heard them, but
yeah,
I guess that's what I meant.
So they get attacked by the giant kraken thing. Still,
kraken thing. The Watcher, or is that what it's called? The Watcher. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Traps them in, closes the doors. They don't find out that there's dead dwarves there because they're not there.
They do find out about
they find out that people got killed by that Watcher.
Balin or whatever. Yeah, they eventually find out that I think Balin, his name, died.
Yeah, when they finally make it to the tomb.
Yeah, because the tomb is like way deep into this thing.
Yeah, just like Pippin dropping the skeleton down a well was far sooner than them finding the tomb too.
Yeah, way sooner.
Yep, and then they finally feel confident when they get to that tomb because they know where they're at.
Right.
But then they're also like, holy crap, this is a disaster because there's something here that's killed all of these dwarves.
Yep, and they don't know what it is yet.
Yep, and then they get attacked. Cave troll, mountain troll, whatever one it is, still knocks the crap out of Frodo.
Mm-hmm.
They find out that he has the mithril a little bit later on, not right away. Gandalf almost gets annihilated by the Balrog upstairs.
Yeah, and then he comes running out.
Yeah.
But the thing that I thought was very interesting was, let's see here. Gandalf does not say, "You shall not pass," like he says in the movie. He says, where is it?
Something. Well, doesn't he still say "the will not avail you"? I thought.
Hold on, I want to see it. I want to see what he actually said. You cannot pass, not you shall not pass, which is different because you shall not pass is a command, whereas you cannot pass is an objective truth. They mean two different things. Like, you shall not pass because I'm not letting you, whereas you cannot pass, like, objectively, you cannot pass. I know it. It's like, it's a very different way of saying it. So it's very similar, but I think you cannot pass is more powerful, even though it doesn't sound as cool.
Yeah. I
He
mean,
says, I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. You cannot pass. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Udun, however it is. Go back to the shadow. You cannot pass. It's very objective. Like, you can't pass. Not you shall not. You cannot.
I mean, because he has the power to say that.
I just thought that was cool because it does make a difference.
Right. I mean, that scene basically happens in a very similar way too.
It does. The only difference is that Gandalf has already fought the Balrog to a degree. That's the only thing differently.
Because and then the only reason he really gets taken down is because he's already spent a lot of energy.
Right.
He spent it not knowing what the hell he was fighting, trying to.
He did not know it was a Balrog.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where he's a weakened Gandalf at this point in time, as he's dragged down with it, and then they all flee.
Well, I just want to talk real quick about that scene one more time. Yeah. The only other thing that I found interesting in the movies is, yes, the Balrog catches him with the whip and pulls him to the edge, but when he says "Fly, you fools," and "Let's go" at the end, the Balrog's already gone. The whip's already let go of him. Whereas in the book, at least, it's clear like the Balrog's still holding on to him when he lets go.
I mean, in fairness, he knows he can't get up.
Oh, I mean, Frodo or one of them could pull him up.
Not without getting shot by it. Let's be honest, the orcs are actually decent archers in reality.
Better than
they're not stormtroopers, Chris.
They don't bonk their head on the way in either.
Yeah. I mean, they still almost would have killed Frodo if he didn't have freaking Mithril still.
That was the troll.
No, because he gets hit by an arrow too.
Are you talking about in the
escape portion? He gets hit by arrow.
In the book or the movie?
Book.
Okay, I was talking about the movie.
He also got hit by an arrow once,
and they all thought he was dead.
Well, no, that's not. They didn't think he was dead.
Aragorn thought he was dead. He says it in the book multiple times.
No, by the cave troll.
Whatever.
Not from the arrow, but it was just one of those
from the spear, I think, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I like how the one chapter is called "Trick Up the Mushrooms." It like totally fits in with your theory about the space trilogy. Anyway, so yeah, the Bridge of Khazad Dûm is like one of the biggest exposition pieces, and actually there was an interview with George R.R. Martin where he says the fact that Tolkien was willing to kill off Gandalf really influenced him as a writer.
Right.
Even though he comes back later, but you don't know that if you've only read Fellowship.
Well, we're not even done with going through the summary.
I know, so keep going. So you got Lothlorien next.
Yeah, so they still appreciate the views of the mountain because Gimli has to see his sights. That's one thing.
Gimli's obsessed with tall mountains.
Yeah, and then they make it to the forest. They get taken.
Meet the elves.
Yeah, they get taken.
That's where they meet Haldir for sure, right? Haldir.
That's whatever.
That's one of the prominent elves in the movies. He's the one that dies in the Two Towers.
Yeah, that's where they meet him.
But I don't think he actually dies in the Two Towers in the books.
No,
I could be wrong about that.
He doesn't. I don't think he does.
They just use him for namesake.
Yeah. But they go and spend way too much time in the forest of Lorien.
Right.
And Gimli goes full creeper at the end for his gift, but
he wants the strands of hair from Galadriel. Yeah. That's when you find out the elves are planning to leave Middle Earth and let the transition from elves to men happen.
Yeah, and then
you find out Galadriel has a ring of power, even though it's like it doesn't feel like it's a big deal, but it would have been in the books back when he was writing it.
Yeah, because the movie doesn't really treat those rings as anything.
Yeah, I mean it is a very
that's a thing that
creepy scene in the movies, that's for sure.
No, but I'm saying that the movies don't really treat the rings of power for the elves as a thing, unless you're looking for it. Because
Galadriel has that whole voice scene where she's like, "The ring has come to me," and it's like that really creepy face.
No, but it doesn't treat her as having her own ring of power.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't treat Gandalf as though he has it.
Gandalf doesn't have one.
He does have one.
No.
He was given one, I thought, to
No.
use. Or whatever. I
I don't
can't
think
remember
so.
then.
I mean, oh, you know
No,
what?
I thought he borrowed the one dude's ring.
He might have been carrying one of the either men's or elves' rings. You might be right, but he never.
The guy from the sea. I thought he was holding on to that ring.
I don't think he actually wore it though. I think he just had it with him.
Maybe I thought. Okay, I can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They really anything with Gandalf and a ring does not affect the plot of this book.
And then Elrond has his ring. So
Elrond, Galadriel, and one of the other guys has a ring too.
The Watcher of the
Watcher,
Bay, whatever he is.
And then you get to them on the river. They discover Gollum is following them again, and he basically alerts the orcs to the Fellowship. And then Boromir has his fall where he tries to take the ring from Frodo. And then he's told to go defend Merry and Pippin. And it basically ends right there with Frodo and Sam boating off into the distance.
Yeah. No.
Instead of ending with Boromir's death, it ends with them just splitting up.
Yeah, the movie definitely took parts of Two Towers to make it more.
I prefer, and I've said this to my wife, I actually prefer the way they ended the movie to the book.
Yeah.
I don't like Two Towers opening up with Boromir dying.
That's fair.
They should have just ended this one with Boromir dying.
That is fair.
And you don't even find out that Boromir died defending Merry and Pippin until way later.
Because it doesn't.
And they talk about how he took like 20 arrows, but you don't find that out till like chapter 3.
Right.
When Merry and Pippin make their first chapter into the book.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he could have definitely ended it with a bigger climax than what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was very anticlimactic. Not a cliffhanger, that's for sure. But he also probably didn't think much about that. Because didn't he release these all at like the same time?
No, he wanted to. He wanted to do his one big book.
No, but I mean they were all written, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, they were already done.
He didn't think about.
So it's whoever was dividing the books for him from HarperCollins or whoever published this that made that decision.
Probably didn't read it. They're like too long.
They're like, we're gonna make some extended live action films of this one day, and we're gonna read.
In fairness, do you think they put the right amount of effort into that, given that they didn't know how to treat these?
Nobody knew how to publish these books or Dune, so they just kind of they winged it.
That's what I'm saying. That's the reason, Chris.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's how.
So basically, this ends with the Fellowship
splitting.
Yeah, down. The Frodo and Sam leave. Merry and Pippin get kidnapped. Gimli, Aragorn, and Legolas go off and be badasses, and Gandalf comes back later.
Yeah,
and Boromir dies in the Two Towers.
There were different things throughout this book that I thought were interesting tidbits.
He spent a lot more chapters on Tom Bombadil than I remembered. Dude,
the Tom Bombadil one was not nearly as bad, though, as Lorien. I'm sorry. When they were chilling with the elves and Lorien, I got bored. It's the okay, because once you've read this before, and you know that it's not going to have the fight scene for Boromir at the end.
Yeah.
The ending chapters drag on.
They really do.
Because you know there's nothing interesting actually about to happen. It's very much like the second half of Two Towers.
I have a harder and harder and harder time reading the Boromir's corruption chapter every time I get to it. It's like because you know the Boromir
character, man. He's a legit guy. He's like a legit good one.
Right. But the ring corrupts him.
Well, yeah, but like
between that and his dad.
But what I'm saying is he's actually a much better character than the movie portrays him.
Oh yes, I agree.
He's treated as corrupted from the very beginning in the movie, whereas he's not.
I will give Boromir the movie Boromir the benefit of the doubt only because they redeem him with his relationship with Faramir and they show how good he was to his brother.
Fair.
That's the only redeeming quality in the movie, other than him dying, taking like 20 arrows to the chest.
I think that's also done better with the extended editions.
It is. But his relationship with Faramir and Denethor kind of proves what kind of person he was before the ring,
Right.
and it really redeems his character.
The but yeah, like I said, those once they're out of Moria, that story takes a real slow turn.
Yeah, it does. Moria is probably the most interesting part of this book.
Well, because it's the only time you get a good glimpse of Dwarf City still.
Plus the Balrog.
Plus the Balrog. Yeah, but I mean, like I think dwarves are the most interesting culture group of Middle Earth that we don't see enough of.
You really don't see the dwarves at all, except in the Hobbit.
But even in the Hobbit, you don't really get to see Dwarf City.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
You just see Dragon Treasure Trove, you know.
Yeah, you just get to see how badly the dwarves treated Dale.
Yeah, that too.
Gosh, that was terrible.
In the beginning, this book was so British though, because
so British.
it was. So like Sam's dad, right? He's always talking to his to Sam about how he shouldn't get mixed in the business of your betters because the risks of getting involved in trouble too big for you. It's a very British thing. The classism.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So British.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the Shire is meant to be like the slow version of Britain, right?
I mean, it's meant to be like the Oxford countryside type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least there's no stranger danger. Oh wait.
No, I mean he's like big on the concept of, you know, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. That's one of the.
We don't get to decide what time we live in. We decide what we do at the time we're given.
Right.
Yeah, I do like that quote a lot.
I think that it's really underrated that the entire story is really an emphasis on meekness.
Yeah.
It's not that the hobbits are incapable, right? They're very capable. It's just
and Gandalf believes in them.
Yeah, it's just that they're very unassuming. They're humble, personified in a sense, right?
And the idea of like Frodo seeing all these very powerful people in Rivendell arguing over who's going to take the ring, and he's just like, I will take it. I will make the ultimate sacrifice to take care of this thing. It's like that is like complete humility and self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's noble. That's the word I'm looking for. It's noble. It's the type of being noble you don't see portrayed in most film and television these days. Like really, you just don't see that.
I guess you're right. There's always an agenda influencing it. That's true. I was gonna say too, like Pippin, Elrond really did not want to send Pippin on the journey.
Or Merry.
He was willing to send Merry.
But they're a package deal. And they're both necessary to convince the Ents later on to join the battle.
Yeah, but he wanted to send Pippin back to tell the hobbits to do better.
He's like, go back to where you're from. Meanwhile, in politics these days, I'd get you canceled to say something like that. Go back to where you're from.
I just find it really funny what the changes they made from the book to the movie.
You really notice it
notice it when you read it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the whole him leaving the Shire. It's the only reason
it's like half of this story is him leaving the Shire.
Half of the story is just exposing us to what he's leaving, what he's giving up.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
it makes you almost more nostalgic for the Shire as you're reading.
Yeah, it's a well done thing because he writes the Shire so well too. Like I enjoy it, even though it's a slow write. You know,
it is a really slow burn.
It's a slow burn, but it's an enjoyable slow burn.
It is. Yeah,
I
the
even
Shires.
so like I know you say you struggle with the Tom Bombadil section.
I
But
didn't struggle with it at all. I enjoyed Tom Bombadil. It was just a lot of it.
yeah, I'm saying you were like, oh, it's a bit long. I
It
said
is a bit long, but I
I
still enjoyed
enjoy
it.
that section still though.
I still
I
enjoyed it.
I have to say that I enjoy the book all the way without any questions, all the way through Bree.
All the way through Brie. Okay.
Yeah, it's once they're on the journey portion, certain things because of how Tolkien writes journeys, they're not swift.
I will say I saw a meme the other day and I was like, this is totally a Tolkien thing. They're like, write a 1-page essay about the forest, and Tolkien's like, I can do that about the tree. One single tree.
But yeah, man, it was nice though the way he shows you more of the world.
Who's your favorite character?
Who's my favorite character?
I feel like Frodo's better in the books.
At the moment, and he's better in the books in the Fellowship.
Well, up until the very last, from talking to other people, until the very last moment, like Frodo doesn't show that weakness with the ring really compared to the movies, where he's like constantly acting like a drug addict.
No, he is. That's no, that's accurate. He is being put under the spell to put the ring on. Did you not catch that in this book?
No, I caught it, but I feel like he's slightly stronger in the books than he's portrayed in the movies.
No, he fails in the exact same times.
All right, well, I guess I'll find out as I read, right?
No, I'm saying he in Fellowship he failed in all the same ways that the movie portrays it.
But to be fair, in the Fellowship, when he puts the ring on, it's always by accident, pretty much. He didn't mean to with the Nazguls.
He did it. No, that was a.
Oh, that was when he finds out they can see him.
Yeah, that was a panic one. He was made so fearful he put the ring on.
The second, it was the Bree where it was.
That was an accident, just like in the movie.
Yep.
But that's
the only two times he does it.
Actually,
right?
It was the
Is that
first
the only
time.
2 times he does it in this book? Is
no,
two?
He puts it on at the end with Barmy.
Oh, to sneak away. That's right. That's true. You're right.
And then it's the same way in all of them. There's only one where he was drugged in, like addicted to it, and put it on.
All right.
That was the Rocky mountaintop thing.
Fair enough. Okay, so who was your favorite character then?
I appreciate Mary.
Mary, huh?
Yeah.
I'm either Sam or Gandalf.
Pippin is fun too. I like their dynamic in the movies, and I like their dynamic in the book. I feel like that might be one of the best casting duos.
Mary and Pippin.
Yeah.
Underrated. I like that one of them is in Lost.
Oh yeah.
Charlie.
But I really do think that is. I like the expanded role they're given in the early Shire.
Yeah, they do get quite a bit bigger role. I think the characterizations in the movies, like Farmer Maggot, that's one really good example where the movie just shafted an entire
story
interaction between two characters. You know, they skipped Tom Bombadil, which whatever, I really don't care that much. It just shows you that there are like jolly old fellows who have more control over the world than other people do, and that they're perfectly comfortable and not willing to go fight for it either. Because Tom Bombadil's not going off to go fight Sauron.
Yeah.
So, like, what happens if they don't defend this land? Well, the jolly old fellow of Tom Bombadil probably won't have a forest to come back to. He might not die, because I'm pretty sure he's a Iluvatar.
You could almost say that Bombadil is that guy with all the power who could go fight,
but chooses not to.
Because he doesn't.
He's like the opposite of Frodo.
Yeah.
Frodo has no control, but he chooses to fight anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Tom Bombadil has full control and chooses not to fight.
Right.
I think that is a good representation. He's like the antithesis of Frodo.
Yeah, you could just say he's the guy who's willing to let the rest of the world burn because he doesn't see the threat to himself.
And if you read the 2 poems on the Adventures of Tom Bombadil about him, you'd see how much control he actually has over the Force. It's a lot. It's
Yeah.
even more than in Fellowship. But
I mean, he's basically a god.
he walks around and like people like somebody makes him mad and he goes, "There's a bird that's like tweet 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 tweet," and he goes, "Quiet bird, or I'll eat you." Like that's the kind of stuff he says. It's like, oh man, okay.
All I can say is his introduction is still fun. I find it fun.
He was
It's a ridiculous character, but it's fun. Especially when you just think of him as if he's like the god of the hobbits. Because he kind of is.
He's not as cool as the bear in The Hobbit, but he's still cool.
I mean, but he's basically the hobbits on god level.
Yeah.
His description is he's not as tall as a man, but he's not as short as a hobbit. He's basically a hobbit who's been drinking ant water.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, that's
so your favorite character you said is Merry or Pippin?
I think I have to say they're a package deal, sadly.
Probably, so yeah.
I can't say one or the other. There's not enough Gimli and there's not enough Legolas in the first book to really say one of them.
As much as I love
both of those characters
in the movies, I think I like Sam in the books even better.
I still think he's a little bit of a bitch, but that's just
well, I mean, just like how many times do they find themselves bored and he just like whips out poetry in a song for him, like automatically?
I despise the fact that Sam is just a little servant boy. I do. I feel so bad for him because he's literally the servant boy to all three of them.
Hey, let the first be last and the last be first. He embodies that.
I'm just saying that he's literally an equal on this journey, and he's treated as if he's the servant of his lords.
Hey, the saddest part in the book is when he says bye to that horse. Bye, Bill. He saves Frodo. He thinks Bill's dead, but I think Bill comes back later.
Bill's alive. They say he's alive.
I was gonna say I thought Bill was alive.
He made it all the way to Rivendell.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, happiest pony in the world, man.
No. I'm talking about the Watcher outside of Moria. That's post Rivendell.
The pony goes up, makes it all the way past
he goes
the
back.
wall.
Okay, never mind.
All the way back to Rivendell. And then, the guy at the tavern, he gets all those extra ponies later.
Yeah. I think that I don't think I dislike the movie or the book worse one versus the other, but that you have to look at them as different mediums. And for once, I don't think that the book is so superior that you can skip the movies. I think you should watch the Lord of the Rings. I think they're just really well done movies. I think the book's good too. I think the book's great.
They don't spoil each other.
No, they don't. There's enough difference, but enough the same that they're worth each.
Well, I'll say this. Frankly, I don't think a good book can be spoiled by a movie, frankly. Honest opinion.
But a good movie can be spoiled by a book.
Yes. So I am a firm
I've had that
believer.
experience a lot.
Yeah, I am a firm believer, and I think you've probably come to accept my take as the right one.
For the most part.
Is watch the movie first, then read the book.
If the movie's already out.
Yeah. If the movie's already out and you want to read the book.
Unless it's Aragon. Don't watch Aragon.
No, definitely watch that before reading the book.
Don't watch it, period. There's no reason to watch it. It's a terrible movie.
Sometimes I don't think it's bad when it can help give you a visual of locations.
If it's done well.
Yeah, but a lot of
New Zealand is Lord of the Rings now.
No, but okay, what I'm saying is sometimes the set is usually not going to change what the universe looks like too much. So as far as world picturing it.
Dang it, now I'm going to have to rewatch Aragon. I don't remember that movie being good at all.
No, the movie
The movie sucks.
The movie sucks because of how they end it, Chris.
I don't remember. Did they do like part of the second book in the first book?
No, they completely changed who gets hurt.
Oh, okay.
Which made it, I think, impossible to make a second movie because it didn't make frickin' sense.
They probably had no intention of making a second movie.
No, it was Disney or
Yeah,
20th Century Fox. I don't remember, but whoever did it, they biffed it hard. No, it's one of those things where I'm a firm believer in watching before reading. I don't, because I can enjoy a show and I have zero expectations.
I think this is one of those ones where it wouldn't matter which one you did first, personally.
No, it doesn't matter. I was going to say this is one of those circumstances where it does not matter. They're both good. The movie doesn't cut anything that's terribly important.
Right.
It does change the narrative a little bit with certain changes, like that they're all going with him on the journey the whole way.
Right.
Aragorn's, his sword is reforged already in the book.
When did they hand it to him in the movie? Is that like
third movie?
I was gonna say it's later on.
Yeah. It puts a whole different spin on certain things. Just like the decision to go through Moria, the way they did it was totally different.
Like they're concerned the whole way there that they're being watched by birds and stuff like that.
No, they were though.
Yeah.
They did that in the movie too.
Yeah, to a lesser degree, but yeah, there's like a lot more mentions of it in the book.
Yeah. I do.
But it you know what? It does really change the plot though, that Gandalf and Aragorn are arguing over which path to take the whole time versus in the movie where Gimli's like, let's just go through Moria.
Well, because it makes here's the thing. This might be my complaint in the movie. I don't think it makes Aragorn's ranger abilities as prominent.
That's true.
Because the fact that Gandalf views him more like an equal than a lesser. Because in the movie, Gandalf is the clear leader.
Yeah.
But in reality, Gandalf is more than happy to take anything that Aragorn says as like top tier advice.
That's true.
So it's one of those things where I don't think there's certain dynamics that aren't as properly fleshed out, but the movie does a very good artistic take on the universe.
Who would you say is the worst character in this book?
The worst character?
Yeah.
Are you saying does it have to be a main character?
No, any character.
I feel like it needs to be a main character.
It can be, sure.
Honestly, the worst character is all of the Gollum, Smeagol.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Because those are slow as quick. They're just the slowest parts.
Oh, you know what? I did enjoy the part. I forgot about this. We didn't really talk about it. This where the elves like get to blindfold Gimli, and instead of only blindfolding Gimli, is like we'll all blindfold then.
I'll say my least favorite in this book is Legolas because he is the silliest creature. He's my least favorite because I can run on top of snow. Okay. Who cares, right? No, he does a bunch of silly elf things that make him a less serious character.
Right. Yeah, he does do that.
Compared to him in the movie.
Where he's kind of a badass archer.
They make him a bit more badass, yeah. In this one, I feel like Tolkien really wants the lightheartedness of elves to be more of the prevalent thought process.
Mm-hmm.
So he uses him as a lighthearted.
A foil for Gimli.
A little bit, yeah. What about you?
What's my least favorite character? Least favorite? Yeah, probably Honestly, it's probably Bilbo.
Oh, honestly, that's a good one because
Because I
he's a
feel like
lot less likable, I think, in this book.
he really is. Like he's gonna abandon his nephew. Although his nephew's in the book versus in the movie where his nephew knows nothing. But he's like,
No, he's more unlikable in this book than he is in the
and it
movie.
just kind of shows how much the ring has tainted him, despite him not being as tainted as other people.
But it's a sad thing, right?
It is because
I think
you
it's a
loved him in
sad
The
thing because
Hobbit.
you're supposed to have read The Hobbit prior to, right? So I feel like it's an intentional change
It's a
up.
letdown.
It is, but I feel like you can't hold it against the character.
No, once you know what the ring is, you
When it's
can't.
intentional though.
It is. Yeah, he's probably my least favorite in this book.
What's your least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene? Oh, it's probably honestly, it's probably the Galadriel stuff. Like, it's just like it dragged on and on. Like, you're in Lothlorien and the Elves Forest for like what, almost the whole last 100 pages of the book,
and they don't really do anything.
No, up until Boromir has his temptation, really nothing.
Yeah. That is that about 100 pages? Yeah, I guess it is.
It's around 100 pages of Lothlorien.
I mean, right there, it's basically from 433
to the end
until 533, and you get it where the entire thing that's done there is
up until the orcs show up,
which they don't show up. Not really.
They kind of do.
They shoot some arrows,
and then the book ends.
And not even the arrows that hit Boromir. So
my least favorite scene though in the entire book is probably probably the many meetings in book 2, because there's like a bunch of people talking until you get to the council.
I would say this is okay because it's probably the absolute slowest moment is when Frodo and Sam are in the boat.
Is it the Great River?
On the Great River.
Yeah,
just
that's
going
pretty
down the river
slow too.
And they're just describing what they're seeing, imagining they see Gollum or whatever else they see. And it's just the slowest writing because Tolkien likes to do that shit too.
He's a lot of exposition very slowly.
But none of the other ones are that slow though. I think that's my thing. Like this one is.
There were chapters in The Hobbit that were slow exposition too, but it's not like the whole book. This whole book is kind of slow exposition.
But okay, were they slower than that? I don't think anything else he's written that we've covered so far up to this part of the book, because I know for a fact Two Towers Part 2 is going to have it. Nothing else has been as slow as that.
That's true.
And the reason it stands out to me is because it does give me PTSD vibes of Part 2 of Two Towers. And I know that I'm going to get a whole second half of a book of that.
Just listen to the audiobook. That's what I'm going to do.
No, because I know I'd fall asleep, Chris.
Exactly. And then you'll finish it.
I said Legolas is my least favorite character in this book. It quickly turns to Frodo. I'm not going to lie.
He's hard to like in book 2.
They're so damn whiny.
Hey, man,
I know I'm over here whining about reading
he runs out of lembas bread, man.
Yeah. Gets hungry fast.
Oh, I feel like we're going too long with this. What do you want to talk about to finish this up?
I was going to tease the next my least favorite scene that's coming up in book 2.
Go ahead.
When they walk around in effing circles in the Rocky Mountains until Gollum becomes their guide. And I swear that chapter goes on and on and on and on.
So in the audiobook, chapter 4 is an hour and 45 minutes.
That honestly,
Oh my gosh.
No, but there's that one chapter where they're in the Rocky Mountain scene.
I will
Desolate,
say
I guess
Tolkien
desolate mountains, and he just has them walk in effing circles.
will give you a couple short chapters, and then all of a sudden you're like 40 pages, and it's like, what the heck?
Oh yeah.
He there is no rhyme or reason to like how long he makes a chapter.
We have to do one thing before we bounce out of this one.
The rating.
We have to rate it, but also I think we should compare it to The Hobbit.
What if I give The Hobbit a 4 or 5? I think
I gave that a 5 actually.
I probably gave that I gave it either a 4 or 5. I think this book is a solid 4 though. Like if I'm rating Lord of the Rings as a whole, it's probably a 5. But the Fellowship and the Two Towers are probably gonna get 4s for me.
Wait, what? If you're rating it, how?
If I was rating the entire Lord of the Rings as a group, it would be a 5. But if I'm just rating the Fellowship, I think I got to stick to a 4.
I have to give it a 4 if I'm thinking of if I think of The Hobbit as part of it, right?
Yeah.
I have to give it a 4 because it's not Hobbit level. But it's hard to be Hobbit level given that it's a one contained story.
Versus like 6 books in one in this one. That's all one big series.
Like
I said, if it was Lord of the Rings as a whole, I'm probably giving it a 5. But as just the Fellowship, I got to give it a 4.
I would give it a 5 if he had ended it
with Boromir's death scene.
Yeah.
I do like that scene a lot.
That's actually a thing that when you mention it that way, and when you think about the movie,
I think the movie has a better natural ending point.
It does. And I think that's the fact that wasn't chosen as the ending point of this book.
It's sad to me.
It is actually sad because it leaves it on such a anticlimactic ending.
It's just like everybody's dispersing, and then it's like, oh, it's over. I'm glad Peter Jackson decided.
I mean, they end it because it's the breaking of the Fellowship, so it's like, oh, the title stops.
Right.
So, this might sound weird, but I'd almost be interested in like a custom edited copy.
Where he has the ending it with chapter 1 or the first chapter with Boromir in it and the Two Towers.
Yeah.
Instead of where it's at right now.
Yeah.
That was nice. Had some cracks in my back there when I was doing that. Yeah, I agree though. I think the movie has a better natural end point, and I might be just biased because I saw the movies first, but still, I
no, because
it's more natural.
It's not that. It's literally the fact that you get action in Moria.
Yeah.
And then you're on this real slow 100-page grind downwards, right?
Yep.
And I'm all for relaxing after Moria, but 100 pages is
the lazy river.
It's quite the lazy river. So I would give it, I'm with you on that before. I'm with you.
Will's probably like logging in tomorrow watching this, like smacking his keyboard. It's a 5.
I mean, I think he can understand that. He can write in the comments what his rating is.
He should. Let's get a Will comment. Anytime Will's not on the podcast, he has to put his rating and an explanation for it in the comments.
Where's the divide between book 1 and book 2?
It's at 285. You go from the flight to the ford where Frodo gets rescued.
You know what? I would give book 1 a 5.
Yeah, I probably would too.
I would give book 1 a 5, and book 2 is potentially a 3.
Actually, what's sad is if you separated the two books, I'd give them both 5s.
How? No. There's no
because you have the Bridge of Khazad-dûm in the middle of the second book. It's a much better climax and drop than if you had a super long book.
It's not a better drop. No, dude, you have a really slow startup. You have 2 chapters of actual action.
Yeah.
And then you have 100 pages of slow.
All right. Well, what's the next book we're covering, Andrew?
Oh, Truth and Beauty. the truth, and beauty.
Yeah. That's a
actually.
solid 3.
I will fight you on your reasoning. I might not fight you on the actual rating.
Okay, fair enough. But look forward to us talking about Andrew Klavan. For those that don't know, he's one of the Daily Wire correspondents. He wrote a lot of books, or at least a few books.
Well, this book specifically is about his opinion.
He's written
on
some fiction, though. I would be
so.
interested in his fiction in the future.
Yeah.
Actually, from the couple times I've listened to his fiction, it's actually pretty good. It's very it's like an in between C.S. Lewis and Tolkien and how much description he does. But it's a lot of like fantasy, I think, if I remember correctly.
Makes sense.
I definitely feel like his writing style is more reminiscent of those two guys.
Well, we shouldn't hold the audience any longer, Chris.
We won't, because we're already holding them. Yeah.
Especially since we stopped talking about Lord of the Rings. So
we're going to preview for next week or 2 weeks from now, whatever week it is.
2 weeks from now. All right. So we will see you guys on the next
Printed and pressed.
Yeah.
Unless we randomly decide to do a CHRILLCAST episode one of these days.
That's also a possibility.
All right, guys. Sorry for the low energy today. We needed Will.
Well, I'm also sick.
I've recognized how tired I am midway through this. So, all right. See you guys.